It was a Saturday evening, March 12th, 2022. Funny how dates burn into your memory when your whole life shifts in just one moment. And hey, before I dive into this story, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that cold shiver down your spine, that gut feeling telling you something's not right? If you have, then hit that like button and subscribe, because trust me, you're about to hear a story that will keep you wide awake tonight. Now, let me tell you about my story. On the outside, I had what everyone would call a perfect marriage. The house, the friends, the dinners, the smiling pictures on Facebook. You know the type. Those couples who look like they stepped out of a magazine ad. Well, behind that glossy picture, my reality was darker than I ever imagined. It started small. A late text here, a missed call there. He'd laugh nervously and say, "Work stuff, you wouldn't understand." And I'd laugh too, trying to convince myself he was right. But deep down, I knew something was changing. He was changing. Here's the thing about lies. They leave fingerprints everywhere. And my husband wasn't careful enough to wipe them clean. Receipts shoved into his jacket pocket. Perfume on his shirt that definitely wasn't mine. Oh, and my favorite, I'm stuck in traffic, when the app on his phone showed him parked at some restaurant miles away. I remember lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, whispering to myself, am I crazy? Or is he? And that question haunted me for weeks. And here's the wild part. You ever notice how people get bolder when they think they're untouchable? He started staying out later, coming home smelling of cologne I didn't buy him. He was either careless or confident I'd never find out. Now I could have confronted him right then. Slammed the evidence on the table, screamed, cried, the whole movie scene. But no, I kept quiet. I watched. I waited. Because I knew the deeper he dug himself into this hole, the sweeter it would be when I pulled the ground right out from under him. And believe me, the ground was shaking. But here's the twist. You'll never believe what I discovered next. And that discovery changed everything. So here's where the cracks in my so-called perfect marriage really began to show. And let me warn you, when you go looking for answers, you better be ready for the pain they bring. It all started one night when he came home late. Again, I went to hang his jacket in the closet and out slipped a crumpled piece of paper. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't snoop. Well, not usually. But tell me, what would you do if you found a receipt for 2 wine glasses and a dessert at a place you've never been? Exactly. You'd read it twice. The receipt felt like a paper cut on my heart. Tiny, but it stung in a way I couldn't shake. Then came the phone. He guarded that thing like it was Fort Knox. I mean, he'd take it to the shower, to the bathroom, even to grab the mail. Who takes their phone to the mailbox? Unless you're hiding something. One night while he was asleep, I saw the screen light up. A message popped across the lock screen. Just a name with a little red heart. I froze. My chest tightened. My hand reached out, then pulled back. I wanted to open it, but my fingers shook too hard. Instead, I memorized the name. Because if there's one thing I've learned, the truth doesn't stay hidden forever. And let me tell you this. Truth loves to scream when lies try to whisper. I started connecting the dots. His sudden obsession with cologne, the late-night business dinners, the way he'd silence his phone whenever I walked in. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. But no, every clue pointed in one direction. Betrayal. And here's where I did something unexpected. I didn't confront him. Nope. Instead, I played the role of the loving, clueless wife. I smiled. I laughed at his bad jokes. I even asked how his work projects were going. Inside, though, I was documenting every single detail, every lie, every breadcrumb. Because I wasn't just catching a cheater, I was building a case. Now, don't get me wrong, there were moments I almost gave in. My heart wanted to scream, "Just tell me the truth!" But my mind whispered, "Wait, be patient." Let him hang himself with his own rope. And the clues kept piling up. A lipstick smudge on his shirt, bright red, and I don't even wear red. A perfume trail so strong I could smell it before he even opened the door. And the biggest giveaway of all, his lies got sloppy. One night he told me he was at a conference, but his Instagram story showed him at a rooftop bar. Imagine that, caught by his own social media. So here I was, holding pieces of a puzzle I never asked for. Each piece cut deeper than the last, but together they painted one clear, ugly picture. And just when I thought I had seen it all, I discovered something that turned suspicion into absolute certainty, something so undeniable, so shocking, that it left me breathless. But that, my friends, is a story for the next part. You know, there's a moment in every storm when the thunder gets so loud you can't ignore it anymore. That's where I was, sitting on the edge of truth, staring at evidence I never wanted to see. And here's the thing. Once you know, you can't unknow. The final straw came when I found a message on his tablet. He'd forgotten to log out of his email. Rookie mistake. One short note from her. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. And there it was. In black and white. Not a suspicion. Not a maybe. Cold, undeniable truth. Now at that point I had choices. I could have screamed. I could have packed my bags and left. But something inside me, call it rage, call it courage, call it maybe a little bit of wicked creativity, wanted more. I didn't just want him to know I knew. I wanted him exposed. Completely. Publicly. And that's when the idea hit me. What if I revealed the truth in front of the very people who thought we were the perfect couple? His friends. The same group he bragged to. The ones who thought he had life figured out. Imagine their faces when they saw the mask slip. Oh, it was almost poetic. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy to decide. My heart fought me. I asked myself, am I really about to air my dirty laundry in front of everyone? Then another voice inside whispered back, no, you're about to air his dirty laundry. And trust me, it's dirtier than yours. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, that's cruel, let me ask you, what's crueler? Quietly swallowing betrayal while the world thinks you're living a fairy tale, or showing the world who the liar really is? Exactly, so I began to plan. Step 1. Find the perfect moment. Step 2. Gather proof. Step 3. Make sure he didn't see it coming. And here's where I'll confess something a little funny. Planning this exposure felt thrilling, like plotting a heist. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, scribbling ideas in a notebook. Dinner party? Game night? Or maybe at a birthday celebration? I wanted it unforgettable. Something no one could ever unsee. I started rehearsing in my head. What I'd say, how I'd say it. And with every scenario, I pictured his face falling, the silence of the room, the shock on his friend's eyes. I wasn't just seeking revenge. I was taking back control. And I made sure the proof was ironclad. Screenshots, emails, even a voice recording. I didn't want any chance for him to wiggle out with excuses. No. This time he'd have nowhere to run. So the stage was set. All I needed was the right night, the right audience, and the courage to light the fuse. And when that night finally came, let's just say, the explosion was louder than I ever imagined. When you plan something like this, it almost feels like you're walking on a tightrope. One wrong step, and the whole plan crashes down. But the thrill of knowing what's coming. It kept me steady. I decided the perfect stage for my little performance would be a weekend get-together. Nothing too fancy, just a dinner with his closest friends. The kind of night where laughter fills the room, glasses clink, and everyone feels safe. Safe, until the bomb drops. Step 1 was simple. Make sure he felt completely in control. I acted sweeter than ever. I asked him what he wanted for dinner, laughed at his lame jokes, even ironed his shirts without rolling my eyes. You'd think I was auditioning for Wife of the Year. And let me tell you, he bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. But behind that smile, I was moving chess pieces. I made sure all his friends were invited. I even reached out personally, just to lock them in. Oh, it's been too long. We should all catch up, I said with a smile that hid fire. Everyone agreed. Perfect. Now here's where it gets interesting. I had to decide. Do I just announce it myself, or do I let the evidence speak? And I'll be honest, I couldn't resist a little creativity. I printed screenshots, tucked them into a neat little envelope. I also had the voice recording ready on my phone. Call it my backup weapon. But here's the funny part. I almost got caught. One night while organizing my little evidence kit, he walked into the room. My heart jumped into my throat. I quickly shoved the papers under a stack of magazines and smiled like nothing was wrong. He gave me that suspicious look, but then shrugged and asked if I wanted ice cream. And yes, I said yes, because betrayal stings less with chocolate fudge. Anyway, back to the plan. The closer the dinner night came, the more alive I felt. For weeks I'd been the silent victim, drowning in lies. But now? Now I was the one pulling the strings. And oh, it felt powerful. The night of the dinner arrived. Friends gathered around, laughter spilling through the house. He was in his element, telling stories, playing the charming husband role. If only they knew. I kept smiling, pouring drinks, serving food. Inside, though, my heart pounded like a drum. I kept glancing at that envelope, tucked safely in my handbag, waiting for its grand debut. Every minute felt like an hour. My hands were clammy, but my resolve was steel. I was about to flip his world upside down in front of the very people he respected most. And just as everyone raised their glasses for a toast, I knew this was the moment. But you won't believe what happened when I finally opened my mouth. The room was glowing that night, candles flickering, glasses clinking, laughter bouncing off the walls. If a stranger walked in, they'd think it was the picture of happiness. My husband sat at the center, surrounded by friends, charming as ever. He told stories, exaggerated the details, made everyone laugh. To them, he was still the perfect husband, the golden friend. To me, he was a stranger wrapped in lies. And there I was, smiling, nodding, topping up wine glasses, while clutching the truth in my handbag. The envelope. My little grenade. All I had to do was pull the pin. But timing is everything. I waited. I let the night build up. The jokes, the drinks, the comfortable buzz of friendship. He thought he was safe. He thought he owned the room. Then came the toast. One of his friends stood up, glass raised, and said, "Here's to love, loyalty, and lifelong partnerships." Oh, the irony. I almost laughed out loud. That's when I stood. My hands trembled slightly, but my voice was steady. Too steady. "I'd like to add something," I said. All eyes turned to me. My husband gave me that warm, rehearsed smile, the one that used to melt me. Not tonight. I reached into my bag and held up the envelope. "Since we're celebrating loyalty," I said slowly, "I think it's only fair that everyone here knows the full story of what loyalty looks like in this marriage." The room went silent. Forks froze midair. My husband's smile faltered. He chuckled nervously. "Honey, what are you doing?" That's when I slid the envelope across the table. He didn't move. His friends looked at him, then at me, curiosity turning into dread. Finally, one of them picked it up, opened it, and gasps filled the room. Screenshots, emails, pictures, the evidence laid out like a crime scene file. My husband's face drained of color. He stammered, This isn't what it looks like." I couldn't resist. "Oh, really?" "Because to me, it looks exactly like what it is. A husband sneaking around with another woman while playing family man in front of his friends." His friends looked shocked, uncomfortable, some downright disgusted. One of them muttered, "Man, is this true?" And just when he opened his mouth to deny it, I played my ace card. I tapped my phone, and out came the voice recording. His voice, his laugh, his words whispering things to her that he never whispered to me. The silence was deafening. My husband lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone, but it was too late. Everyone had heard it. The truth was out. Now here's where I'll admit, part of me expected him to beg, to apologize, maybe even cry. But instead, he turned red with anger. He slammed his hand on the table and shouted, "You're humiliating me." I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "No, you humiliated yourself. I'm just shining a light on it." And oh, the look on his friends' faces. Some shook their heads. Others avoided eye contact. A few even pushed their chairs back, like they didn't want to be near him anymore. The king had lost his crown, and everyone in that room knew it. He tried to laugh it off, muttering excuses. "She's exaggerating. It's just a misunderstanding." But the evidence was too strong. The lies were too heavy. His mask was shattered, lying in pieces on the table with the wine glasses and napkins. And me? I felt strangely calm. Powerful, even. For the first time in months, I wasn't the woman in the shadows. I was the storm, but what happened next, I wasn't fully prepared for. Because while he was drowning in humiliation, someone else in that room decided to speak up, and their words changed everything. The silence after that recording played was heavier than any scream. You could almost hear his reputation crack in half. And then, the room erupted. One of his closest friends leaned back and shook his head. "Man, I can't believe this. We looked up to you. You were supposed to be the guy who had it all together." Another friend muttered, half under his breath but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Guess loyalty was just a prop in his play." My husband's face twisted between anger and panic. He kept repeating, "This is a mistake. She's exaggerating. You all know me." But the more he spoke, the more pathetic it sounded. His words didn't carry authority anymore. They carried desperation. And then, out of nowhere, one of the women at the table spoke up. "You know what? I saw you once, at that restaurant downtown. You weren't with your wife. I thought maybe I was imagining it, but now..." She trailed off, shaking her head. It was like watching dominoes fall. Every excuse he tried to build was knocked down by someone else's memory, someone else's doubt, someone else's realization that the man they thought they knew wasn't real. He slammed his fist on the table. "Enough! This is my marriage, not your business." And that's when I leaned in, calm as ice, and said, "No, this is our marriage, and you dragged everyone into it the moment you betrayed me. You didn't just disrespect me. You disrespected every single person who believed in you." He went silent. His eyes darted around the room, searching for an ally, but no one met his gaze. The friends he'd spent years impressing couldn't even look at him. That's the thing about public exposure. It doesn't just strip you bare. It leaves you standing alone in the cold. And here's the ironic part. You know how he once told me, "No one will ever believe you if you accuse me." Well, guess what? Everyone believed me that night. Not because I was louder, but because the truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be heard once. Still, his pride wouldn't let him surrender. He pointed at me and spat. "You think you've won? You've just destroyed everything." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "No, you destroyed everything the moment you chose her over us. I'm just making sure the lights are on so everyone sees it." For a second, the room was dead still. Then slowly, chairs scraped back. People began leaving, shaking their heads. No one wanted dessert anymore. No one wanted to sit at his table. And in that moment, the man who once bragged about being respected, admired, untouchable, sat there, red-faced, abandoned, with nothing but his lies to keep him company. I should have felt triumphant, victorious, and in some ways I did. But deep down, a storm still raged, because humiliation was only part of the story. The real decision, the one that would define my future, was still waiting for me, and when I made that choice, it shocked even me. When the last guest walked out that night, the silence was deafening. The laughter that once filled my house was gone, replaced by the echo of a broken man's breathing. My husband sat at the table, head in his hands, his kingdom crumbled. And me? I stood there, calm but trembling inside. You'd think exposing him would bring instant peace, right? But it doesn't work that way. Betrayal doesn't vanish just because the truth is out. It lingers like smoke after a fire. The next morning, the ripple effects began. Calls from friends, some offering support, others too awkward to know what to say. Messages on social media, whispers traveling faster than wildfire. His carefully crafted image? Shattered in less than 24 hours. He tried, of course. He followed me around the house, switching between rage and begging. One minute he was shouting, "You ruined my life," and the next whispering, "Please don't leave me. We can fix this." And I'll admit, a part of me wanted to scream back, "Fix this? You can't glue broken glass together without cutting yourself." But another part of me, the part that still remembered our early years, hesitated. Isn't it crazy how even when someone destroys your trust, your heart still remembers the love? But here's where reality hit me hard. His friends stopped calling him. Business partners suddenly needed space. Even his own family avoided taking sides. He wasn't just losing me. He was losing everyone who once respected him. And deep down, I think that stung him even more than losing his marriage. As for me, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief that I wasn't crazy. Strength because I stood up for myself. But also fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of facing a future I never planned for. And that's when I realized, This wasn't just about exposing a cheater. It was about deciding who I was going to be after the dust settled. A victim who lived in the shadow of betrayal, or a woman who built something stronger out of the ashes. So I made my choice. And believe me, it was a choice no one expected, not even me. It's strange, isn't it? One night can change the entire course of your life. For years I thought my story was about a husband and wife, about love and betrayal. But when the dust settled, I realized it was about me. Who I was, who I wanted to become. After the exposure, I had two choices: stay and live in the ruins of a broken marriage, or walk away and build something new. And let me tell you, neither option felt easy. People often think strength comes in loud moments, in slamming doors or fiery speeches. But real strength, it comes in quiet decisions made at midnight when no one's watching. So I left. Not in anger, not with a scene. I packed my bags with dignity, and I walked out of a house that no longer felt like home. And you know what? For the first time in years, I could breathe. Did it hurt? Of course. Did I cry? More than I'd like to admit. But every tear reminded me. I was moving toward freedom, not running from fear. And with each step, I learned something powerful. You can survive betrayal. You can survive heartbreak. And you can even find yourself again in the ashes of what was destroyed. Looking back now, I don't see myself as a victim, or even just a wife who exposed her husband. I see myself as a woman who chose truth over comfort, courage over silence. And maybe, just maybe, that's the message someone out there needs to hear tonight. So, if you've been sitting in suspicion, if your gut has been whispering truths you've been too afraid to face, listen to it. Because secrets may break hearts, but silence breaks souls. And before you click away, let me leave you with this. Betrayal doesn't get the final word. You do. Whether it's standing tall in the middle of chaos, or quietly walking away to start fresh, your story belongs to you. Don't let anyone steal the ending. If this story gripped you, if it made you feel something real, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more. Because the truth? Life writes the wildest stories, and I'll be here to share them with you.